Ladies and gentlemen, we now move on to the highlight of today's event. With this, I have the pleasure to invite Yang Amat Berhormat Dato Seri Anwar bin Ibrahim, the Prime Minister of Malaysia, to deliver his keynote address. Dengan segala hormatnya, dipersilakan.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan salam sejahtera. Alhamdulillah. Nahmadu wa nusalli ala Rasulil Karim. Saudara Menteri Besar Wan Hafiz Ghazi, Saudara Dato Asni, Dato Si Wahid, keluarga besar Bursa dan penganjur termasuk HSBC, Maybank dan CIMB, rakan-rakan dan tetamu yang saya muliakan. Sekali lagi saya ucapkan setinggi penghargaan atas ikhtiar yang dimulakan oleh Bursa dan kerjasama Kerajaan Negeri Johor di bawah pimpinan tokoh muda yang cergas untuk memacu pertumbuhan yang menggalakkan. Kali ini kita lihat banyak usaha memacu pertumbuhan dan pelaburan, dan Iskandar merupakan salah satu kawasan agak strategik, terutama bila diperkenalkan satu zon keuangan dan zon ekonomi. Dan tentu kita bermanfaat kerana hubungan yang sangat baik dalam konteks ASEAN dan utamanya dengan negara Singapura. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we are fortunate because we have had a strong start this year. We outpaced expectations in GDP in the first two quarters, and the third quarter is looking promising. The ringgit is performing well, while the Bursa is outperforming regional peers, as alluded to by Tan Sri Wahid, surpassing 2 trillion ringgit in market capitalization in May 2024. Now again, more fortunate because we are in ASEAN, relatively the most peaceful sub-region in the world, and economically vibrant, considered to be one of the most progressing at a pace unprecedented. And therefore, we must introduce new initiatives to attract investments and to work as a family of nations. That's why I mentioned our satisfaction and gratitude not only to the collaboration with the state, but our neighbor Singapore and within ASEAN, because we have achieved this relative success because of effective collaboration and enhancing bilateral relations and growing trust between leaders and the general society, business community, and also the public at large. And I think this is an important indication that we believe in the spirit of complementarity. I think Prime Minister Lawrence did allude to that fact, and I certainly share that vision and look forward to the bilateral session that we'll have towards the end of the year. I'm arguing with the Menteri Besar who thinks that all meetings must be in Johor. And I have to remind him, as I always remind the King of Malaysia, that he is King of Malaysia, and I happen to be Prime Minister of Malaysia. I have to make sure that other states feel comfortable and relaxed. Notwithstanding that, I do give some priority to Johor. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, politically we are stable, fortunately, after relative turbulence in the past years. Johor, of course, is commendable because it still maintains a two-thirds majority, as is in the federal government. And this strength is used to ensure that we have better governance. It's unfortunate that Malaysia is sometimes being associated with some excesses in terms of high-level corruption and poor governance. That is why, or precisely the reason, why the crackdown against corruption is clearly a priority set by this government, and we must remain consistent to make sure that this continues. Because through effective measures of good governance and ridding the country of corruption, we will only achieve better efficiency and transparency and ease of doing business. Because the inordinate delay in many of these approvals are because of kickbacks that can be considered as the necessary oil ingredient to obtain fast approvals. So now we have seen in Johor the collaboration between the federal government and the state, and the strong, effective collaboration with Singapore. And therefore, the economic zone announced by the governments, policymakers, investors, and businesses from both nations have collaborated and participated in turning this into a success. Connectivity, talent development, ease of doing business, real estate development, these are and have been areas of focus to us. And I am glad to see real progress. Areas, issues that we have to address, of course. Teledevelopment sounds attractive, but things change in the post-normal times at the pace that is unprecedented. I allude to the issue of three major ingredients of post-normal times: chaos, complexity, contradictions. And understanding this, happening, all these issues, chaos, complexity, and contradictions, happening simultaneously. So we term it as simultaneity. You can't address one issue at a time. You have to address 20 issues at a time. And that's why we need Menteri Besar like On, who has that extra energy. And on talent, of course. And these talents cannot be produced under normal syllabus or school system. Things have to change at a pace that should be fast. Projections, normally Ministry of Education or Higher Education will only have to take years to introduce a new curriculum, a new system. We can't afford that. When I was in Abu Dhabi and observed the success of their attempt to introduce AI as a university, Sheikh Zayed AI University, I think, I was amazed that they can do it at the pace and a fast pace and introduce a discipline that is relatively new at an advanced stage. So I came back and said, look, we have, of course, AI being taught because it's related to potential investments, but we don't have a proper faculty even. So I said, all right, have a faculty in Johor. And this was not intimated by the Menteri Besar, it was my initiative, please. And, well, my concern is, as a teacher myself and having taught at Georgetown University, a great university in DC, I realized that to introduce a new faculty will take at least 1 year to 2 years. And I said, we can't afford that. So I gave them a challenge, gave initial contribution, funds, and said, it has to be done fast. I wasn't sure that the university and the Ministry of Higher Education can make that adjustments. But I'm proud to say that the UTM in Johor Bahru managed to set up that faculty AI in 4 months. And this is amazing. Of course, that's an initial program. So we need banks, we need khazanah, and we need established conglomerates, bursa, to be able to collaborate with them, having that synergy to be able to assist so that we do produce qualified, competent graduates in new fields. Deputy Prime Minister Zahid, for example, is chairing the Tibet Council, and we cannot go on with the previous syllabus of Tibet training. The best is, of course, the private sector. So groups like Sunway should be able to adopt Tibet in the vicinity around the establishment here, and of course in Tambun, where I represent. They don't, Nancy Jeffrey shouldn't ever forget Tambun, for the matter, which is as important as Iskandar. Now, so that the involvement of the private sector in education, in Tibet, and technical training in AI would be far more efficient than having to run as a normal educational program. And I'm again thankful that many of these conglomerates and private companies have taken that opportunity, including Khazanah and GLICS, banks that ventured into this program. So why I'm emphasizing this issue of talent? Because talking to NVIDIA, Infineon, and Google, and tonight Amazon in KL, most of them expressed their concern that whilst they are proud of the fact that we have disciplined, qualified workforce, but we lack that niche at the highest level. And that highest level must be given, the young must be given the opportunity to be trained now. And that has to be done together with the private sector, particularly training people through our government institutions for their own requirements. And with this, for example, is an indication how the collaborative efforts of government institutions and the private sector to fulfill the requirements of the future. And well, coming back to Singapore, Malaysia, we have collaborated on a great deal throughout our history. We have, of course, problems. Everybody has problems with their neighbors. And but these problems are minor and not unsurmountable. People ask me, when I was in India or somewhere, they say, what about South China Sea or problems with China? I said, look, all countries have problems with their neighbors. United States with Canada is, of course, a good example. And countries in Europe. But these are not issues that could create tensions or invite rancorous exchanges between one another. These are issues that you should discuss, but should not deflect from the focus that both countries have to succeed. And both countries are great partners and can be greater partners if we do collaborate, benefit in a win-win situation. And that is why I'm excited to work with Singapore, and of course, giving a priority to the ASEAN collaboration, which we, Malaysia, will chair next year. Now, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, last week we announced a competitive package of incentives to make Forest City a magnet for international capital. This includes a concessionary corporate tax rate between 0 to 5% and 5%, and a special individual income tax rate of 15% for knowledge workers and Malaysians who choose to work there. So Menteri Besar don't ask for anything more because this is quite, should I say, special sort of a consideration because we want to propel Johor as one of the primary engine of growth in the country. Now, the forest city will also be the first location in Malaysia to offer zero tax rate for family offices. The single family office scheme, coordinated by the Securities Commission, aims to attract regional and Malaysian families to manage their family wealth from Malaysia. We see how Johor and Singapore's Southeast Asia Manufacturing Alliance has worked together through a combination of natural and unique advantages enjoyed by both parties. Now, while the nation has targeted net zero ambitions by 2050, the focus on net energy metering and large-scale solar initiatives have accelerated development. You have seen major programs here, and I should say that a fantastic major program on solar collaboration between Tenaga and Petronas, Kenyir. Unfortunately, Johor does not have that big a lake like Kenyir. So this hybrid hydro floating solar, which using the surface areas of dams, reduces land usage as well as water evaporation. Now, Malaysian capital markets, which has been alluded to by Nancy just now, other than what has been said, then we have this carbon exchange, inaugural renewable energy certificates, auction, and now available for continuous trading. Expanding my address to beyond Johor, without losing focus on Iskandar. Now, taken together with various energy-focused projects in all states and regions of Malaysia, and you see Selangor and see Sarawak booming as energy hub, we are confident of a surplus of energy that feeds developments such as the GSS-EZ, as well as have enough to grow our exports of energy. TNB, for example, has been assigned to focus on grid from Kelantan to Johor. The ASEAN region represents our tomorrow. The bloc's future encompasses 680 million people with a combined GDP of around 3.5 trillion US dollars. It is an economy that has the potential to leap forward multiple times over the next few decades. Now, as Malaysia takes on the ASEAN chairmanship role, we have also stated that our goal of building our relationship and joining BRICS grouping of nations. The questions raised, but I said we are fiercely independent, we are a trading nation, we should continue to trade and leave the geopolitical battle to the rest. Our priority is, of course, economic development and the welfare of our people. So we have long had a warm relationship in terms of trade, education, and agriculture with many countries, and we intend to expand this sort of collaboration. Sekali lagi saya ucap terima kasih kepada Bursa dan rakan-rakan yang bersama, kepada Menteri Besar dan Kerajaan Negeri, dan semua dengan harapan kita dapat jayakan usaha untuk merancangkan pelaburan termasuk program Invest Malaysia Iskandar. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Yang Amat Berhormat Dato Sri, for inspiring us with your speech. Indeed, the horizon is very promising for Malaysia. Ladies and gentlemen, before we break for lunch, we will take a group Wi-Fi to commemorate this event. May I invite everyone to stand and for our photographers to come up on stage to capture this moment. Indeed, this is a momentous occasion where corporate Malaysia and global institutional investors converge in Iskandar, Johor. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Yang Amat Berhormat Dato Seri Anwar bin Ibrahim, for gracing us with your presence today. I now invite Yang Amat Berhormat Dato Seri and our esteemed representatives to proceed for lunch. The usherers will lead the way.
Peradaban kita bangunkan, bina kota, bina insan. Dari budi jadi budaya, bina asas kemampanan. Kesejahteraan masa depan. Ayo seluruh anak